It is one of the most dangerous punches in the striking world right now, the left hook of Alex Pereira. I can throw together a highlight of him just going left hook, left hook, left hook, and people dropping. Let's talk about 5 things this guy does in particular, which might help you improve your left hook and throw it a little bit more like him. I've already done a video with Alex Pereira where I talk about 3 things he technically does that are wrong. But when it works for somebody, you can't go and tell the dude, oh yeah, your hands are too low, get them up. UFC champion, glory champion, you don't have to instruct this dude on proper technique. But for most people, it doesn't work. However, I have a student in my youth program right now who has crazy power. And because he has that power and he's watched Pereira, when I see him move, I go, yeah, he's making some technical mistakes, but I'm not going to correct him because it's working for him. So hopefully today, some of you guys can implement these 5 things we're talking about that Pereira does, which are not all correct, but they can still create devastating power. Before we jump into that, I want to give a quick shout out to Primitive Scientific, who have been helping me improve my body conditioning, my body health, by providing me with this amazing multivitamin that goes above and beyond the standards which most supplement companies will provide. I have a link down below. Both links, you can save 30% with my promo code. This is only good for another 2.5 weeks. So if you've been looking for a top-notch supplement that goes above and beyond, look no further. All right, Alex Pereira and this left hook, which pretty much every fight he seems to land. One of the first things that I want to note, because it's a constant debate in the striking world, should your thumb be up or should it be facing in? Some people even throw it facing down. But it doesn't matter where you go, there's always these coaches and they're so opinionated on what you have to do and you can't throw it any other way. And I've been to gyms where people are like, you have to throw it this way. Well, Alex Pereira, one of the hardest hooks in the world, and he is throwing it with his thumb up. So if you felt like you're doing it wrong and the thumb is up, go, okay, you know what? It works for him. It can definitely work for me. The next thing which I want to note is how accurate he is at catching the chin. We all know that there are certain parts on the body that create that much more damage than others, and being able to hit somebody here is going to snap the head so much more dramatically than if you hit them here. If it's here, they're going to move sideways. But when you come from this direction with that rotation of the head, it's going to be so much more devastating. His ability to find the chin in the middle of a fight and so consistently is pretty wild. How does he do it? Well, number one, he's willing to change his distance. When we saw his most recent fight against Yuri, he threw it really long. It wasn't a short one, and it worked. But additionally, we will see him come right up where it's kind of at that 90-degree angle. So change your distance depending on where your opponent is, so you can strike that chin and stop trying to go to the forehead or just throwing randomly. His ability to be accurate is something that allows him to achieve so many left hook knockouts. Now, when I started watching Pereira's left hook, something I really noticed is he's massively heavy on his shoulder rotation. That means that when he makes impact, his shoulders have turned from almost squared to completely bladed, completely lined up. So he is torquing in that whole body. It's not him going like this. He's remembering body mechanics. And whether he tips his way back, he stands stationary, that shoulder is going to launch all the way forward. So really play with your body, play with that twisting. One of the most common corrections I make when I watch people striking is reminding them, especially on the back arm, that when you throw it, your right shoulder should take the lead, and you should almost have it come in completely in front of the back one, just as Pereira does when he throws the left one, and his left shoulder has come almost completely in front of the right. So really launching shoulders into shots, especially on the left hook, is going to help create power if Pereira is an example of what can actually happen when done correctly. The next thing which I noted is he doesn't swing his arm really far through. It's not like he's trying to take the person's head off, and it always throws me off a little bit because it doesn't look like he's trying to throw with 100% power. He kind of hits the target, boom, and it drops a little bit in height, and then he draws it back, or he'll hit and rechamber. Don't overthrow through. still turn your body, but once you've gone through the target, you don't need to continue the follow through. It's gonna leave you compromised and exposed, and I think, what I'm guessing at least, is when you try to throw something really hard, like, oh, I'm gonna go all the way through, you actually end up not being able to be as accurate as we talked about, and something that Pereira has been so good at is not to get hit after he lands that left hook. You have to remember that sometimes people get hit and they still continue to throw back. I've seen people get hit and then score a knockdown. Never happens with him because he's just doing such a good job defensively by not overthrowing. And since we're on sort of that defensive mode right now, I also want to talk about the final point which I noticed, and we saw it when he fought Yuri. He took a jab and then he kind of leaned backwards a little bit. Now he doesn't do this every time. It's not like every time he throws the left hook, he tips his weight back, but he does occasionally. And this is going to help him defensively. It's going to help him stay safe because he creates extra distance. And as we were talking about before, when you're trying to change the distance of your punch, in this moment, he could go really short or he can tip his weight back and go a little bit longer. So he makes that adjustment mid-punch. But if you're able to be standing here and throw your hook while leaning backwards, you're gonna feel that much safer. And that's a very nice feeling. The eyesight which he has when he throws is very solid, but I think that's due in part to him being out of range. Creates a little more distance, he has a little more time to see punches coming. So if you play with all of this, if you add in, okay, my thumbs up, it doesn't have to be, but that's an okay way to start because that's what he's doing. And then you go, I'm really gonna aim for the chin. I'm gonna max out that rotation. I'm gonna try that little tip back and I'm not gonna follow too far through. You get all that together, you're starting to get a left hook, similar to Pereira. Will you have that same power? No, probably not. I think that's just God-given to a certain extent, but definitely throwing in those little tweaks might help you. Thanks for joining, everybody. As always, train hard, and I will see you back here soon for another video.